Hello, friends. Welcome back to Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly with me, your host, Trevor Stewart, 1308. And we are here with the ASOC Prod Cat, the Peanut Gallery, and the Broctagonal hole for my round peg, Darth Dragonis.
That one sounded a little too sexual for my comfort.
Sounded a little too uncomfortable for my comfort. Sounded a little too uncomfortable for my sexuality. So, as we start on that note, today's pre-rolls brought to you by The Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, 105 West Main Street, on the downtown mall, above the bricks, suite 200, between the Green Cauldron and Hamilton's. A great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds, eh, bud? And the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. They have the lowest prices in town, according to my own personally highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my biased research. Don't forget to check the website for times and events. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleaf, CVILLE, all one word, .com. And a note of disclosure, we are an opinionated bunch of people. All of the opinions you hear in belong to us, or the expresser of the opinion, and or the channel, but not necessarily to any of our advertisers, such as The Hidden Leaf or the Kush Gang, purveyors of fine edibles, or Firehouse. With that distinction made, I think we are just about ready to get into it, guys. So, how are y'all doing? First off, let's start there.
I'm alive. I'll take this one, Peanut.
He did.
I'm alive.
Alive.
At least no one has told me otherwise.
There is no evidence to the contrary at the moment, at least.
Or if they have told it to you, it's been presented as a future tense verb, not current.
That's fair. And yourself, Dragonis?
Terrible, but we don't need to talk about that.
Well enough. And of course, I'm as chirpy as a talk show host needs to be, so. First off, I would like to completely realize that I forgot to set this up like I wanted to. Oops. But that's okay. So...
A needle pulling thread.
Yes. We are currently looking at the, I realized I'm not sharing my screen with you guys.
Right.
Let me change that. I'll back this all the way. Well, no, I'll leave it where it is. And let me just switch that. I apologize. It's the wrong thing. There we go. Now we can all be on the same page. Yeah, I know. It's a triumph of hope over experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is footage of the protest that was held on May Day that was being held around the nation, nobody wins a trade war.
Nope.
So this May Day protest, I was not aware it was going to happen. And I was on my way out of the Leaf to go visit with one of our favorite little bears, who was at home convalescing from, who had just gotten home and was convalescing from being in the hospital. And you can see the cops showing up there. I was tempted to turn around, come back, hang out, and get statements from the cops about it, but I felt the need to hurry on because I'd told the convalescing little bear I'd be there soon. So I felt really lucky when I hit a red light that we usually think we're not lucky for hitting, and this fellow walks up. And here's where the audio should kick in.
Nope.
Well, that's not right.
So, which part of that was not right?
Right now, I believe... Alright, let me... That's on... That's... Ah, okay. That should... That should do it? Nope. Unfortunately, I have no idea why it is not making noise.
What's the volume on the media player?
Okay, it is sharing that. Media players turned up to around 75. My media players turned up to around 75. I don't know why it's not making noise for you guys. I think I know why it's not making noise for me.
I'm hearing it perfectly fine over Discord, but
Oh, you guys heard it over Discord?
yes.
Okay, then I know why it's not making noise for me. All right, let's see if that works. Nope. And I know why it's not working, too.
That's what you said last time.
No, I don't know why it's not working. Wow, man. Wow, Trevor. You are just having a hard time, aren't you?
Not in the fun way.
Not in the fun way.
To protest Trump for May Day and speaking about the
All
workers.
right, there we go. So, I got lucky that I caught this guy and got this statement.
Pardon me, sir?
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
I'm a reporter.
Yes.
I'm also in a hurry, but can you give me as soon as I get this working, can you give me a brief statement?
Well, I'm here to protest Trump for May Day and speaking about the workers' rights. Because May Day has traditionally been a time when we remember the workers, and we really feel like the workers are getting screwed over by Donald Trump.
Guy looks
And
really
we're
familiar.
very concerned about both people who are losing their jobs and people who are being deported without the due process.
All right, thank you very much. And this is all about fighting fascism in any form it takes.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a wonderful day.
So, that was the bit of interview that I got. Phew, pardon me. So, wow, that took a lot of work for just that few seconds of interview. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Anyway, so this was from what I read, this wasn't quite as big a turnout as the last one, the one that I completely missed. So that was it was interesting. I'm glad to see that they're continuing these things. Let's see. Did you put the yes. Here are some articles on it. Yes.
They are. Looking up the group that has been apparently organizing most of these things, Indivisible Charlottesville.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have plans to keep going.
All right. What have you found out about Indivisible Charlottesville here?
Well, among other things, right at the start of the year, they abandoned their long-standing Twitter account and jumped to Blue Sky and Facebook.
Jump to Blue Sky and Facebook.
You can find updates about them on their website. You can find updates about them on Facebook. I just sent you a Google Doc that they put together because they did not like the fact that an article in the Daily Progress about John McGuire was behind a paywall.
Okay.
So they took the article and they turned it into a Google Doc so that everybody could read it
Is John
and
McGuire
learn
trolling
about
his
his
constituents?
town hall policies or lack thereof.
John McGuire?
Whatever the guy's name is.
Yeah, John McGuire.
Okay.
And the article is John McGuire trolling his constituents? That's the article that's behind the paywall that Indivisible Seville has put up on as a Dougal Gawk.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it coming out wrong. I just couldn't stop it.
That's okay.
Google
They're-
Doc.
they-
Dougal Gawk.
I would need more time than I've had now to give you a better rundown on them. But they do seem to be very much your kind of grassroots type organization that wants to is perfectly willing to be the organizer and clearinghouse for your, we're going to hold a protest today because everybody else is holding a protest today, come join us type thing.
All right. And this is where we can start sending people to find out where the next protest is going to be.
Yes. Going through kind of the posts on their site. They seem to have it set up so when they post on Blue Sky, it gets repeated in a separate panel on their website. So they had an entire string of posts leading up to May Day.
Send me can you put a link to their... Can you
There's no parking, so go park over here.
Can you put a link to their site? Is the link to their site already in the chat?
I believe so.
Are you sure?
Hey. Nope, no chair.
Those looked like they were articles, not directly to the page.
Hang on.
The articles.
But the second news story that I posted is about the protest, and apparently they are also either they are talking with various news organizations and telling them about the protests beforehand, or people have figured out that they are a place to watch. Because the second one is from the Augusta Free Press.
Right. The Augusta Free Press. The first one's from Seville Right Now.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't recognize. That seems like a new news outlet to me. So where?
So things behind a paywall.
Oh, the article behind the paywall.
The one thing that you're definitely not supposed to do is hit Control V as soon as the page opens, and then go to a Word document and then hit Control V. You're just definitely not supposed to do that.
No, you're not.
Control A, Control C, Control V. Those are the things you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely just do not do that.
Do not do that.
Hello, Lockpick.
Yay!
Ah, there you are. good. You're gonna be here for our discussion of not Art Carney, not Art Carney, Mark Carney. Much love, Lockpick. My future ex-husband, my escape from America. Mwah. And a shout out.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, because somebody shouted out Chaotic Techno Wizard right before.
Ooh, mad at me for doing my job.
No. I never said there was anything wrong with you doing your job. Well,
Anyway.
as long as you're on it and you'll get his shout out, it's okay. So right now we're
Oh,
talking.
now you want me to do the job?
So right now we're talking.
Wait. One more time.
So right now we're talking about the protest that happened in Charlottesville on May Day and around the nation on May Day. You know, in Charlottesville it was around. They said it was around 1,000 people. They had been looking to get up to 4,000, which is what they'd said was at Stonefield, although I'm seeing 5,000 here, says, you know. But Indivisible Seville is the site to be looking at.
Sorry, say that again.
Indivisible Seville, that's the site to be
Yeah.
looking at.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah, I put the link in the
Here
chat for
we
you.
go. Here we go. That's what I wanted. Thank you very much. We are Indivisible Charlottesville, empowering citizens, opposing Trumpism, defending democracy, holding government accountable. Sign up to receive our email. We will be doing that. So, their action teams, they have this list of action teams here: abortion access, reproductive rights, building alternatives, climate change, protecting the environment, defending democracy and civic institutions, LGBTQ rights and protection.
Mm-hmm.
And here is here's the article. We thought everyone should be able to read today's Daily Progress article about John McGuire evading his constituents' town hall and then lying about it. Trolling is too kind. But it was behind a paywall. So we made a Google Doc so you can read all and share. Oh, and here are some images from their rally. Here we go. So yeah, this looks like the place to be. Okay, so friends, we are gonna put this. We will be putting this link in the description for the YouTube video. This looks like an organization to keep an eye on. And I mean that in a positive way. I mean, like, we should be seeing what we can do to work with them.
You beat me to it.
What?
I said you beat me to it.
Oh. Were you going to say something funnier, though?
Something funny and mean. It's an organization that certain people are definitely keeping their eye on.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, they are. And
If,
that's why... Plus ads on the page. Yeah. Well, okay, so that's the thing, Lockpick.
If you scroll down in that feed a bit, they've got a very nice tongue-in-cheek, snarky link to a previous YouTube video of theirs where they were delivering written questions to a representative and included the receipt of where they had invited their representative to come visit them and partake in their
to McGuire's Town Hall. Right, this one, right here. We delivered all your constituent questions and comments from Saturday's Town Hall to Representative McGuire's DC office today. And this video? Is this the one?
Scroll down a little bit further, I think. You can't scroll down. He has to scroll down.
I was hoping that he was still sharing the screen in Discord.
Ah.
Get a bigger view that way.
Oh, hey, let me do that. I'm sorry. My bad, guys. I am not being an effective talk show host.
You were talking, but not doing so much showing.
Right. So, keep scrolling down, yes? Indivisible Charlottesville, just a few image from...
I'm pointing and it's not working because the words are not working with my fingers. Scroll back up. Sorry. Scroll back up to where you have the double column. And then go over and start scrolling on the double column. Yes, that. There we go. Keep going. Keep going. There.
That's where I was.
Go back up a little bit. Because you went down after I said yes.
And then it kept going down, but there's a delay, so we got to play to that.
I know.
Like
that
the
one's
third or fourth article down.
This one. Here's the full video of our volunteers delivering constituents' questions from Town Hall right to McGuire's office. We also brought the receipt from when the office got our invitation, but said they didn't. Yeah. Okay, that's the one. Wouldn't be a good stream if we weren't all confused.
Yeah.
What are we, sponsored by Bethesda?
Right? And of course, I turned off the... Nope. That should be the one. All right, I can hear it.
Representative John McGuire, and we're here at the office building, and we're going to deliver all these wonderful comments that everybody gave us, comments and questions for Representative McGuire. We're going to deliver them to his office.
Wonder if we could get an interview with them.
Well, if you wanted to go over to Nikwork Park tomorrow, you probably could, because they're hosting an event tomorrow.
Because they're what? They're going to an event?
Hosting an event. Hosting an
They were
event.
in the park.
What in the park?
I sent you the invite on the messenger.
Okay. Labor in the park. All right.
Gee, you need to work on your delivery there.
Ugh. You're evil.
Okay, so now this is the audio on this isn't great, so we're gonna have to look at the subtitles and listen carefully. All right, guys, and those of us at home. Is there a Mr. Walker here? Mr. Walker signed for the letter.
Well, we did invite him to come to our town hall, and I actually, he signed, someone in his office signed for our letter. We invited him a couple times. I actually ran in representing one last week. Came to a private meeting in some finance industry meeting. And he said a couple things to me. One was about so I didn't want to initiate someone.
Huh.
Okay, that was interesting.
Is there a part 2 to that?
Let's see what this pops up. Oh. Nah.
There's their Facebook page.
Yup. And nah. That's
It's
enough.
probably a Facebook video.
Probably.
It's on YouTube, so.
And I stopped doing Facebook a long time ago. It was
I know.
one too
That's what
many
you keep me around for.
obituaries, right? It was one too many obituaries. You can only tell me so many of my friends are dead before I just stop wanting to talk to you. You know?
Yeah.
So that seems to have covered the protest and where we can go to look for more. So this event tomorrow, on May the 4th be with you. I think we're gonna see if we can't. We're gonna see if we can't make it there by then, and get some. At least one or two of us, and get some reporting on the ground, and maybe talk to them a little. Get to know who Indivisible Seville are. They certainly sound like the kind of people we would want to be associated with, it seems. But you never know.
Okay, so I'm looking at their YouTube page. It doesn't look like there's a part 2 to that video.
Okay.
That video was from 3 days ago. There was a video posted 4 days ago that is really long, so that clip could have been part of that.
Here we go. This is the Labor in the Park flyer for anybody who's interested. Charlottesville is for unions. do we want to pop the bigger one in the longer video up in the chat? Or do we just want to move on to our next topic? Because Lockpick is here. And if Lockpick wants to hop in the chat, the VC, if you can, I'm interested about what's your haven't had coffee yet. All right, so you may not be ready for your full-on opinions about Mark Carney.
Take your time.
Take your time. Take your time. We will, in that case, we'll cover our next story first, which was we wanted to slam the desk and be angry at the camera for a moment about the attempt that Trump is making, Trelon is making to cut funding to the CPB, PBS, and NPR. And here's an article from NPR. This is where I was, of course, NPR is where I was hearing this from. And they were speaking out on their own behalf, I feel. But as well as PBS. PBS and the CPB in general, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Trump says he's ending federal funding for NPR and PBS. They say he can't. By David Folkenflik. I do like David Folkenflik. President Trump issued an executive order late Thursday directing the Corporation for Public Broadcasting Board of Directors to cease federal funding for NPR and PBS, the nation's primary public broadcasters, claiming ideological bias. Neither entity presents fair, accurate, or unbiased portrayal of current events or tax-paying citizens, the order says. The CPB board shall cancel existing direct funding to the maximum extent allowed by law and shall decline to provide further funding. It is not clear that the president has the authority to make such orders to CPB under the law. And of course, PBS president and CEO Pamela Kerger called it blatantly unlawful executive order issued in the middle of the night. Hi, TU Stewards Guy 94. Do I play D&D and do I have a lot of time on my hands? Actually, I do play D&D and I don't actually have a lot of time on my hands. I have yeah.
Bullshit, Trevor. You spend 8 hours every day sleeping.
You're right. You're right.
You don't have excess amount of time. Come on.
Hey. That time I spend sleeping is time I'm grinding in my sleep city, okay?
I would say that you might need to update that, because when you originally wrote that bio, you did have time on your hands, because that was before you were doing, what,
All
4
of
or
what
5 streams a week?
I'm doing 4 regular streams a week, trying to do a 5th one, and doing special presentations a whole bunch. So yeah, no. time is not something I still had on my hand. Have on my hands. When he sleeps, it's a public surf. Yep. Yes, it is.
Yes, lockpick.
Anything to shut me up, it's a public service. And yes, Lockpick, that was an invitation for you to put something in my mouth to keep me quiet. Ooh, I felt kind of about that one. Or at least I will later. Ain't that right, Lockpick? Well, hey. It wouldn't be a stream if I didn't uncomfortably hit on Lockpick.
I'm not reading that.
Really rose to new heights. Thank you. The discomfort comes later. Not. You know what? I'm trying to get to Stewart guys. Two Stewart guys. Two Star Wars guy. Oh.
Come on, man.
Oh my goodness.
It was even stated.
You're right. Now it took me to. Oh man. I am so sorry, dude. I am so sorry. I am not the sharpest spoon in the electrical outlet.
Well, to be fair, when Lockpick's in the room, Trevor doesn't have much fluid left in his brain.
I ask about D&D because I'm curious. Would a Star Wars evil D&D campaign be interests you to join? Political strategic theme, like collaborate to associate DM. That actually sounds almost like, I mean, other than not Star Wars, that sounds a lot like what Brock and I are doing on Thursdays. That's right, Thursdays.
It's got some Star Wars themes.
Star Wars.
Not Thursday.
Huh?
No,
Unless it's during the day.
It's during the day.
Okay,
During
never
the
mind.
day. Yeah. We do a Thursday day stream. And we are doing a relatively evil campaign, or at least trying to.
Says the guy who keeps helping everybody.
Right? I can't help it. It's just it's. I'm only good at playing a bad guy when there are people who are playing good guys around me, who are good at playing good guys around me. I look like I could be the Dark Emperor in your campaign. No disrespect taken.
Is that Dark Emperor or Dork Emperor?
Both.
Just be glad that I don't have the force choke through the camera power. That's the one force power I want. That's the one I want, is to force choke someone through the camera.
No, they put in filters to stop that because Vader was causing too much damage through Zoom meetings.
That sounds like a Zoom meeting from hell.
All Zoom meetings are.
Remember, they're modern seances.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Trevor,
Are you there?
if you're the Dork
You want to
Emperor
speak
with
with
all
us?
that dork power, Who could destroy us all?
I could destroy you all, yes. Now that I think
So,
about it. Wait.
are you negotiating? Do you need to speak to his lawyer?
We could easily discuss something. I'm sure I could play your Dark Emperor. I have it in me to be truly evil. See, what to Star Wars guy, what you don't know is that I refer to myself as I'm sorry, it's going to get political here for a second. I'm a leftist, right? But I'm not just a leftist. I'm a Vadarian leftist. Because when
That means-
Nader isn't to the left enough, vote Vader.
And this is why I started cackling.
Vader, to me, Darth Vader's empire, not Palpatine's, but Vader's empire, could have been the greatest galactic civilization. You play in Discord in your community over VC Tuesdays or Thursdays, sometimes Friday, bi-weekly, 1 p.m., 4 p.m. Eastern Stoner Time. Is that possible? 1 to 4 Tuesdays or Thursdays, and sometimes Friday. Claims to be socialist and fighting with the... Okay, hold on. I better read this all the way out loud. This is going on YouTube, by the way. Just to warn you, two Star Wars guys. I am, these
Just
go...
guy.
Or two Star Wars guy. These videos go up on YouTube. So, it's a post-Palpatine response to Disney. Basically, there's a new regime that claims to be socialist and fighting the rebels and the New Republic, but it's a dictatorship. There will be an organization that basically becomes a much smaller Senate.
So, speaking as his lawyer, he's usually busy on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, those days are going to be out.
Tuesdays I can be available by... Tuesday afternoons I can be available. One, maybe a little early, but like... Now, before I agree to be involved, the ultimate message behind this game will, of course, be pro-democracy, anti-fascism, right? Because the problem with my form of leftism is it tends into that fascism sort of style of leftism. You know, a very, very strong sort of thing. Indeed, it's a disguised dictatorship. Okay, as long as the message of the game is pro-democracy, the ultimate message of the game, I do not mind playing the bad guy. And, oh man, the bad guy is always the juiciest role. Your DM is very, very left too. Good. We need to, we need to find each other on Discord. Not everyone is, but we are very accepting. It's here it's a little on the channel here. We're very left and very vocally left, although we will make fun of ourselves and the left as much as we need to, because no one is above reproach. Also, I really would like us to be able to be ultimately more centrist, you know, insofar as see, if the Overton window weren't so far to the right, I would like to believe that we would have room for the minor debates about the different types of government that we'd like to see. You know, Peanut Gallery and I will put that to Star Wars Guy. I will put that up to a vote. Oh, that's funny. That's funny, Peanut Gallery. That's really funny. You're freaking hilarious, you are. Remember, the scenery is not lockpick, so you can only chew on it but so much, Mr. The bad guy is fun to play. You watch how much I can chew on scenery. I can... You guys think to Star Wars Guy? You think he's safe to let into the Discord?
I think give him the other code, and that gives you guys a chance to chat and possibly set up something. I would also suggest maybe giving him one of the previous D&D stream from YouTube, giving him one of those links so you can see how you and Darth usually play.
Those aren't up on YouTube.
Okay.
You can just add me. I'm DS22. Let's go ahead and give him the link. Worst case scenario, we have to kick him later. We've done it before. We'll do it again. I think I'm with Lockpick on this. One vote for no, one for yes. Brock?
I have no part in any of this. Remember?
You punk. Yeah, this is exactly why you want to have no part in any of this, isn't it? So you don't have to be the tie-breaking vote.
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be...
I don't care. If it's a Star Wars guy, there's got to be at least some common ground. It's not all just going to be high ground.
Trevor, are you still including a link to the Discord in the YouTube videos that you post?
No.
Okay.
No. I say we give him a link to the YouTube right here. But...
To the YouTube?
Or not the YouTube, to the Discord.
Alright.
Thank you, Lockpick. That is so kind of you.
Ha! Ha ha ha!
So somewhere out there is a story about two Padawans that as an act of rebellion, sort of sneak out and change a bunch of scopes on stormtroopers' guns.
Uh-huh.
It's it's like a 5 or 6 page story, but it's very cute. And basically what they do to fuck with the stormtroopers is they go mess with all of their scopes and sights and stuff.
That sounds like a fun one. That does. My vote was for yes. My vote
I
was
posted the link. Go for it, bud.
Yep. My vote was for yes. We've been
This is why we have stuff set in place.
this is we had someone come in and disrupt our usual flow and function, and it was we had to kick them out of the Discord. So I'm being a little gun shy about it, as they might say.
It's a long story, man.
No. That wasn't you, Lockpick. You've never done anything wrong. At least not without being asked first and paid extra for it.
Wait, you guys getting paid?
Paid extra or paid for silence?
Well, it was sort of hard for him to say anything about anything at that moment. He was a little tied up.
Mm.
You're saying there was a gag order?
Don't you start.
Thank you for joining. We are not normally. Yeah, we are. We're normally this bad. I don't know why. Why I was going to say
Or normally worse?
Thursdays might be an option as well. It just has to. We'll have to work out the timing on it just to make sure. Because Tuesdays and Thursdays I have streams that start at noon. But on Tuesdays I couldn't start my stream earlier. And on Thursdays, I just might be available later. No. We're Eastern Stoner time too. Yeah, we're I'm assuming you
We're
meant
currently in Eastern Daylight BS.
Eastern Daylight BS time. BST. All right. So Lockpick, you are around. I can't do later. I do 1 to 4 EST. You go off by 5 EST. I might be able to make it in by like 1:30, 2 o'clock on Thursdays. 2 o'clock, 2:30, something like that. In an hour and a half. Okay. Lockpick's going to dinner with his parents in an hour and a half.
Nice.
Are you introducing them to my future ex-husband-in-law?
Cat.
Always. All right. Um. So lockpick. Um. Yeah. Yeah. To Star Wars guy. Let's updating Discord. Be there in a second. Says lockpick. Okay. To Star Wars guy. Yeah. Let's VC this next week. Tuesday at 2, if that's okay. We'll catch up Tuesday at 2. DM'd me in Discord. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Kat, did you post an article about Mark Carney?
No, I did not, because that wasn't on the list originally.
Right. I figured not. I don't think we need much of one. There's a lockpick.
Hello.
Hello. So, this election happened.
Mm-hmm.
And what looked like it should have been a runaway might have to do Wednesday as an option as well. Okay. So what looked like it might be a runaway for the Conservative Party turned into a win for Canada's answer to who?
Orange Man bad.
It feels like that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's because the Liberals finally made the choice of getting rid of Trudeau. So all the people that were just simply basing their vote off of fuck Trudeau suddenly couldn't base it off of that. So they actually had to watch what was going on. And they realized that our Conservatives weren't saying a damn thing other than fuck Trudeau.
To which Mark Carney said, hold my bear. Fuck
Yep.
Trump. Dropped
didn't even
the
do that.
F-bomb.
He's just being nice about it.
Huh?
And being real nice about it. And just casually going and working with every other country on the planet instead.
I lean in like I'm going to hear you better.
Oh, do I
that
got to
was
turn
the
myself
remix
up?
version. Yeah.
Yeah, most of that was... It
We heard the
sounded
last
like...
couple of words, though.
Do I got to reconnect?
That was perfect.
There we go. The rest of it sounded like Master Rasta 420 was finishing up.
Oh, it's been known to happen. We got a fan running too because there's some stuff cooking in the kitchen. I don't know if it's picking that up.
No, not hearing it. All right, so Mark Carney ran on fuck Trump, and then you went to answer that and mumbled a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, he didn't really run on fuck Trump. He just ran on the whole we don't need it. We've got options as a country. We've got resources, and there's a whole planet out there that wants it. Since Trudeau stepped down and Carney came in, he's already started. Like, it's not one of those we have a plan to move forward. He has already started trading with a lot of European countries. He's just started putting stuff on boats and shipping it over the ocean instead of over the Great Lakes. Essentially, the only place it's going to be a problem is oil, but we have plenty of it, and the
Right.
Americans need it. So that's going to continue to flow. But even our entire defense, our national defense, is already moving away from an American centralized bank of technologies to working with NATO and basically getting things that don't require American parts and components to maintain during a time of war. just in case, we have to go against somebody that Trump is buddy with, and he decides, no, we're not going to give you any of the parts you need to keep the jets running.
You mean like your neighbors to the east, Russia?
Neighbors to the west.
West? Russia?
Yep.
Well, they're neighbors to the east too. It's just a overland route, if you want to call it that.
Oh no, if it hits the fan with Russia, I've got no fears that the Americans aren't going to shut that one down. Trump likes Russia to be complacent. He's willing to let them be a bit of a bully, but if it comes down to Russia doing what Russia wants to do, and Putin thinks he's got the bounds to do it, I at that point it makes Trump look weak, and his own ego will make him put an end to it.
I mean, in this scenario, of course, we're dealing with the fact that Putin has that same
You got a
mindset,
subscriber.
just from Vultures, thank you for the sub. Welcome in. Hi. And hi, Just Me Crystal. Much love. Thank you for being here. So, you've got to imagine, though, that Putin's looking at it with the same, bullheadedness from his side. And same fear of looking weak. And this is the sort of thing that leads us to the mutually assured destruction of full-out nuclear war.
I don't think Putin would be dumb enough to try to launch any too terribly far, because they haven't been maintained properly. A lot of them have been leaking for a long time. A lot of the reports coming out of it, he's got a lot of silos sitting there ready to go, but they're not sure how many of them would actually work if he tried to make them go.
Okay.
So he'd be left down to, what do they have that can be launched from an aircraft, or what do they have that can be launched over the shoulder, or whichever other means. But I don't think you're going to see the mutual destruction, because I don't think they have anything that is reliably long distance right now that's working. He could barely take on a bunch of new pilots in jets they've
True.
never flown before, with what are essentially some of the top aircraft on the planet. And he got his ass wiped so hard that he landed them all and wouldn't use them for fear of losing them all. Russia's in dire shape.
Yeah, I do forget that they've been losing this war in Ukraine for what? 4 years now? 4.5 years?
Almost 4 years, yeah.
Almost 4 years now?
Yep, they're having a hard time holding on to that little strip that they've kind of got along the border.
I mean, when you look at this, the Ukrainian war, it's kind of sad. Like, you almost have a little pang of the heartstrings. Yeah,
but he's not just fighting
ancient
Ukraine.
friend from
Ukraine's
Charlottesville. Vultures. I'm sorry, what were you saying? Ukraine?
Oh, he's not just fighting Ukraine. He's fighting a whole bunch of different countries that are just, keeping far enough away to not be officially involved. But Ukraine didn't own F-16s beforehand. Ukraine wasn't getting their own targeting information, and that's just one branch of what they're doing.
Yes.
They had their pilots who sat in a seat, went up, and were told when to push a button. Everybody else in the world took care of the rest.
I mean, granted. And I believe that is very much exactly how it should be right now. Like, the rest of... in fact, it shouldn't even really be Ukrainian pilots on the line. I feel like this should actually... what Putin did deserves a boots-on-the-ground, military response from... not only from a combined NATO force, but also from individual delegation forces, But I also think that we should violently reject anything that even remotely looks like Hitler. So,
Or elect it.
huh?
Or elect it.
Right? Well, okay, no. Yeah, well, kinda. No. Calling me out on my Vadarian politics.
I mean,
See, this is why I feel the need to have people who are more central, more centrist around me. Because if I had my own way, we'd end up in a fascistic dictatorship of benevolent rulership. And that's not good. It's actually bad.
I mean, you're actually upholding and doing the thing that we've yelled about democracy's supposed to be doing, which is having multiple viewpoints and kind of pooling together and getting the consensus and going with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Shocking
that's
horrors.
that is how I am trying to build the community. And when I look at this, I see that. Because again, I know that if left to my own devices, it would be very Remember when Gladriel almost took the ring? The One Ring?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That would be me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like having also with that much power, lockpick wouldn't be safe anywhere.
I'd be fine. I can run faster scared than you can angry.
Either that or lockpick would be happy everywhere.
That is a very interesting statement there.
Now, on a previous note, no, the war in Ukraine's actually been going on for 11 years. Don't forget the annexation of Crimea.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I do also feel like this war won't be over until Crimea is given back to Ukraine. That our lack of response on that is really, I feel like, what led Putin to feel comfortable doing what he's doing now.
Bingo.
Or trying to do. And it... So, from an outsider's perspective, lockpick, from a Canadian's perspective, how much do you blame the United States for that? Because I blame the United States a whole lot.
I don't know if I would blame them specifically. They back the whole NATO movement, and in a lot of ways might lead it. But Putin's a different animal to deal with. He's been very straight up on the fact that he wants to rebuild USSR. He's bringing back old agreements to try and justify what he's doing. He's trying to blame. There's as much play on his end to try and blame the United States as there is for the United States to be arguably responsible for what's going on. But the United States were also in a position where what do? Just stand back and let him do what he wants to do? Because what he's attempting to do in Ukraine and what he pulled in Crimea and name it, he wants to bring USSR back together, and he's not quiet about that. That was his mission statement all along. That's what he wants to achieve. So do we stand back and let him, or do we stand in the middle and be the bully? But at the same note, you
because
can't just go in there bombs flying in something like Ukraine, because that's also a sensitive situation. Historically, it's not a black and white.
right.
It's not a black and white situation. From our end, we're looking at it and saying this is an atrocity. But from Russia's end, agree with them or not, even according to a lot of their laws, like that's why this whole thing isn't being called a war crime, is because it's a very fucking gray area.
Right.
It's not as simple as you're the aggressor, let's go blow you up. And as much as I'd love it to be, because I'd love to see somebody take him on and just push him back to his little line and tell him to stay there, and but it isn't that simple.
I do accept that. I don't want to. I really want it to be the easy one. I want it to be the one where it's like easy to see right and wrong. You know.
Here's a good way to put it. Here's a really good way to put it. Historically speaking, okay?
All right.
From Russia's point of view, one of the neighboring countries is now trying to be turned to NATO and share a border with who the Russians see as their global enemy.
Right.
Now, what was the Americans' response to the Cuban Missile Crisis, and what led up to that? When one of the people in the Cold War who was North America's mortal enemy decided to take a bordering country and occupy it and call it as their own and call them an ally. I don't even think you guys can still travel to Cuba, can you?
No.
Because that is almost the exact same situation.
We almost normalized relations with Cuba under Obama, but it fell apart again under Trump and never got repaired. Although I think Biden...
The response in America was to teach kids to hide under their desks in case of a nuclear bomb. Like the fear is real when your enemy is at your doorstep. And if you look at it from the Russian perspective, agree with them or not, that is kind of what's happening.
Right. We are the enemy at the doorstep. And of course, there is I think for me, it's easy because I disagree with Russia. Like, I'm just, at a very basic level, I disagree.
Oh, yes.
And
Most
that
of the world
makes
does.
it right. However, I can empathize with them and see it from their perspective.
Now, I would argue the biggest difference, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Russia had various agreements with Ukraine after the dissolving of the Soviet Union, saying that they would guarantee their rights as a sovereign nation.
That is true, too. And Russia has gone back on every agreement. Now...
And there's also the fact that a lot of resources from Russia rely on Ukraine to pump them through to the rest of the world. Like, it hits on many, many, many different levels.
There's a lot going on there. And I mean, of course it would be... If I were Putin, of course it would be the move I'd want to make. Although, if I were Putin, I don't think I'd have made that move when I did. On the other hand, not making that move might not have gotten Trump reelected. There's a whole lot of gray area there.
Mm-hmm. That's why the rest of the world hasn't moved in and just put some foot to ass yet, because we can't.
I see that.
If everybody walked into Ukraine right now and just put up a hell of a fight and beat him back, that would be the beginning of World War III. Not some gray area. Oh, this might be the early days of it. That would be straight out, all out, fight to the death. World War III going on right there.
Yeah.
And from both sides, from as much as you disagree with them, even from Russia's side, that would be a justified response. As far as their worldview goes, that would be a justified response.
Of course it's a justified response when your worldview is everyone dies sad, called and alone. Even
We're
our
talking about Russia,
vodka
not
tastes
Latvia.
like
Come on.
tears. What?
We're talking about Russia, not Latvia. Come on.
I do feel like, okay, so I know Trilhala has a bit of background in Russian mythology and Russian history. So I kind of wish we had her in here to speak on this too. But we can go with that, the Russian view of the world is very antagonistic. Everything is out to kill you when you're a Russian. Everything is against you, including the rest of the world. And having felt like that before, I can understand how they would feel and why they would fight like that. Why he would. All of this being said, Putin's still a terrible, terrible human being.
Oh yeah,
And-
he's a tyrant.
Oh yeah. And he is, in my opinion, as far as bad people go, really only rivaled with our own Trelon. I mean, they all the way around. This is a whole bunch of morally bankrupt individuals, and they're playing chess with the rest of the world.
They're trying to.
And Canada, oh Canada, just said no.
We've done it
Just-
before.
Just said,
We'll do it again.
"Green guy, I'm going home." I mean, you guys really did just go. I reject this nonsense, and I
Well,
gotta.
the reality is, Canada, we've got the comfort in knowing that if every country closed their borders right now and said, be self-sufficient or die,
Canada can do it.
We can do it. We'd have to arrange some things, but we can do it.
And
The best example of that recently is when the tariffs were going to come into place, and our government stood up and said, fine, we're going to counter tariff. We're going to give you guys 30 days in these industries, 60 days in those industries. Figure out how to move the stuff across the country instead of pumping it down to the... Because we got a lot of resources out west that we can use out east and vice versa.
right,
But it's easier for like the lumber in BC to go down to Seattle, go down to Los Angeles to cover that area, and the lumber from here to trade with the east. But we have a rail system that can move it back and forth. So as soon as
Right.
the suppliers and the purchasers say, well, instead of grabbing it from New York, I'll start grabbing it from somewhere in northern Alberta, and vice versa. They gave them the 30 days. Our GDP went up in the first quarter. Yours went down. In fact, Canada right now, financially, as much as a lot of our conservative base will complain and yell and scream about it, economically, our country's doing pretty good right now. My day-to-day life has not been affected much. My grocery bill didn't go up this year any more than it has any other year in the past. We're doing okay with it because we don't need to put stuff over the border.
I'm just
nice to.
saying. I am just saying.
Oh yeah.
So, you're okay with polygamy, right? Like, Lockpick, you're
No,
cool
I'm not
with...
into pigs.
Oh.
Wait, we're talking about something different, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say you're cool with being married to Master Rasta 420 and me at the same time, right?
Oh,
Like,
I thought you were asking me about paper folding.
no. Fold me like a paper. Jeez, Trev. That was...
Well, too, if I do it just right and pull on your tail, you'll flap your arms.
Oh, yes, I will. I think
Master's rolling his eyes at me right now.
it is way too early to start drinking, says Master Rasta 420.
No, no, it is not. Not today. Go ahead and start drinking. It's fine.
I have to bring him to go visit my parents in like an hour. There's no way in hell I want him that drunk.
Oh no,
Challenge
no.
accepted.
Oh
In an
jeez.
hour, I could get 6 beers in.
Y'all gonna be the death of me. Should have
But
wake
going
and
back to where
baked
this all
today for
began,
real. Yeah, you should have.
I got to say it was a pretty glorious thing to watch our conservatives go from having a win, like an easy, like walk up and just tap the ball in victory, to not getting it.
It,
That was something to see.
it was, and I mean, yeah. It being that I'm only peripherally paying attention, but I was still paying attention. It was fun. I did enjoy it. It
That was
it left me with, okay, so have you ever been to the beach when the tide's coming in and you're standing on a, like, what feels like almost a little cliff of sand right before the wake, and as the tide comes in, the sand just starts to erode away from underneath of you, and you can literally feel the support eroding. That was sort of the picture that left me of for your Conservative Party. Well, not your, but the Canadian. It was like I over that, as NPR was talking about it, I just got that visual image. And it was like,
because
man,
it dropped out below them faster than they could respond. Because in order for him to argue against Carney properly, he would have had to, and he started to. He would have had to really backtrack on a lot of the things he has stood for the last 15 years. Like
yeah,
he's been a pretty borderline oppressive conservative when it comes down to voting on different issues and taking a stance on things. And he pulled a full 180, which is funny because if anyone with the red flag over top of them started to do it, for any of you guys out there, our red and blue are switched.
yeah,
Our red are the liberals, or blue are the conservatives. But anybody flying, yeah, it's interesting that he really had to switch it around, and especially when Carney came in and he was no longer running against Trudeau and couldn't just rely on the whole everybody hates this guy,
right.
and the NDP isn't something they want to vote for, because then they want to vote against, not just neutrally. Partly why our NDP got screwed over this time. But yeah, he really had to switch things around, and it's funny that if anybody flying that red flag were to do the same thing, were to take a stance for their career and then flip it around, even half as much, that would be all you'd hear about on social media, on everywhere. That would just be,
Right.
oh, he's just a liar. Look at where he's lied. Look where he's done this. And not one of them said a word about their guy doing the exact same thing.
You know, that's kind of exactly how it is here, other than the colors are flipped. I mean, yeah, if any of our liberals don't play by the perfect set of rules, they get called out for breach of decorum. You know, meanwhile, the conservatives can get up and piss on a bill from the left, and it's okay. You know, as soon as one of our liberals starts saying, "Hey, don't do that," though, we get called out for being overly sensitive.
Stop being woke.
Yeah. Voltaurus, Voltor 5 or Voltaurus said says, I was living vicariously through y'all for this election. Yeah, I was too. It is almost disheartening to watch the global right play by the same set of cheating rules and get what seems like so much further than the global left. However, I feel like countries like Canada show that it is possible to maintain your integrity and to stand up for what's right in this world these days. And I guess what I'm saying is this is a call to action for citizens of the United States to look to our north for inspiration about our political ideas.
Yep. You know, one of the funny things about Carney, and this kills me because it's amazing how many conservatives forget. If you talk to conservatives, they're going to talk about Harper, Stephen Harper. He was, I guess, the last guy who was a conservative who was in power.
Right.
And according to them, he was an economic genius. They think he left us with no debt, but all he did was hide the money somewhere else, only to be found later and look bad on. Yeah, it was a whole thing, but they seem to forget about that.
Right.
But they tout how he knew how to handle a country, knew how to handle an economy. When he first got put into power, his first pick for the Minister of Finance was Mark Carney. That was who he was pushing to become the Minister of Finance because he had that much trust in how he could handle a nation's economics. So their golden boy, his first pick to handle the money, was the guy the Liberals just put in power and won the election.
Wow.
So I have a feeling in the next couple of years, they're going to be looking for things to complain about.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an economy that's probably going to be running in a way that they kind of thought it should be. And I always get a kick out of that. It's like he used to be on your team. He used to be literally your golden boys. That was his first pick. That was his right hand man.
And you know what's amazing is it shows how far left your Overton window is compared to ours. Like, just below that border, and that Overton window just slams right.
A little bit. It's good. That's the parliamentary system working.
It is. It's the multi-party system, like not just a bipolar mess.
Well, and right now the Liberals won, so the Liberals have the government, but they didn't win a majority. So there needs to be another party that forms a coalition to hold the balance of power.
Right.
Usually that ends up being the NDP. There have been situations where the Conservatives held the balance of power. So they, not equal say, but a big say in what happens. So you don't have, you'll never have the situation where our leadership comes in and just does all these sweeping executive orders, despite the fact that PP decided he was going to try. But right now, the Liberals can't just do what they want to do. Because it needs to pass, it needs to be agreed upon by the other parties. Now, what that often means is things don't get done or they get done slowly. But at the end of the day, we now have 4 years where all the parties at the end of it are going to be equally pissed off and equally grateful for whatever came out of it. Because their guy had a say in making it happen too.
Right. No one gets to say, well, that's not what I voted for. No one gets to say, that's not my president or not my economic plan. No. Everybody
well, the Conservatives,
had their say.
Because they're being completely left out of the balance of power right now. The Liberals even informally said they'll take the Bloc Québécois, the French nationalists, over Conservatives to form the balance of power. But
I mean,
It's awesome.
I would too, but don't tell anybody.
Frog legs are in season.
And there is a part of me that likes the sound of the French language when spoken angrily.
I once tried to learn how to speak French, but I got halfway through and just gave up.
I thought about it. So, like, everybody in my family learned French. In high school, even. Everybody went to French class in high school. And even my father, with his southern accent, could speak French. Funny thing is it didn't sound anything like French from the south of France.
You're my pal, Pierre, y'all.
Exactly.
Great.
Actually, no. You do see where the Zydeco accent comes from. The French Cajun accent comes from when you mix French with Southern. You get there. So I decided I wanted to be different from the rest of my family, because if the whole family specializes in one thing, then what happens when that one thing is an ocean away? However, we're going to be dealing with another language on a daily basis in America. And I thought, I should probably learn Spanish. It's more likely that I will speak to people speaking Spanish than I will speak to people speaking French.
But how will you get somebody to yell at you in French if you don't speak French poorly to them?
Speak Spanish even more poorly to them.
But then they're more than likely to just yell at you in Spanish.
Oh, no. No. I can tell you. Most Parisians don't speak Spanish.
Fair enough.
Surrender jokes. Let's...
What's that about she's eating surrender monkeys? Hey, ask for a surrender joke.
I didn't. Lockpick said hashtag surrender jokes.
Yes. Oh, me.
I just got invaded. Hi, Pequeñito. So, that is, we have covered Mark Carney now, I feel like, and we can say congratulations to Canada for choosing wisely.
Well, we'll see if we chose wisely. At least we didn't choose the obvious demon, but we'll see where it goes.
Right?
We'll see what happens.
I mean, on some level, yeah, you're always choosing the lesser of evils, because politicians, it's really hard to believe that there is a politician out there who is not a self-serving, morally corrupt something.
Or if you do, have you seen when Mark Carney was on The Daily Show talking to Jon Stewart?
No, I haven't.
I'll watch it.
Okay.
If you want to see who we just elected, that's a good good example of somebody who's not necessarily worried about saying the wrong thing, or he's got a message to get across, but he's not going to try to bury it with artificial sentiment. He's just going to tell you as it is. He's just going to stick to his guns and say, this is what's going on. This is who I am. This is what we're doing. He's not going to try to wash it down. So I do have a bit of a better feeling with him that when he does open his mouth,
It's not
he's getting
gonna.
closer to the truth.
Yeah.
He's not purposely going through and washing it down. He might be spitting out something that is still an agenda, but he's not being as obvious about it. And he usually says enough that you can look into what he's doing, and you can be like, okay, this is actually verifiable, or you left this part out, man. But it's not that whole
Right.
it's not that whole silver tongue part of it. It's interesting to see him. Even during the debates, they were all slinging things back and forth and coming up with rhyming statements and trying to be all theoretical instead of factual. And he just stood there and talked about what they were doing. It was kind of neat.
That is very refreshing in politics these days. That is something that we don't see. We certainly don't see down here. And in fact, one of our next stories is going to be about some local mudslinging politics. Just that, I just wanted to juxtapose how Canada's system seems to be working, functioning, and what possibly functioning looks like in our system. And that was this this Youngkin and Reed fight that went on recently. This got a little spicy. So,
Anywho, guys, I really do need to get my butt in gear so I can go be
all
prepared
right.
to meet the old people in a few hours. So
Thank you
will
for
be
stopping
jumping up here.
in. Thank you for stopping in. Send my love to your parents from their
Will
future
do.
daughter-in-law. And much love to you, Master Rasta 420. Good luck with the parents tonight. I'm sure they will find you absolutely charming because we find you
Well,
absolutely
they're
charming.
trying to emancipate me from the family so they can adopt him. It's getting a little awkward.
Oh, no. You two come as a pair. I've seen it.
If you do it right.
On that note,
Much
all right,
love.
I will talk to you guys real soon.
Much love, Lockpick. Have a good one. Be safe. Can't believe I went for that one.
Yes.
All y'all are like, yeah, we can. So, this, Youngkin Earl Sears breaks silence on John Reed staying in lieutenant governor race. Youngkin defended his Friday phone call urging Reed to drop out of the race, while Earl Sears urged Republicans to unite. I have not watched this video. I only briefly heard about what was going on, and I didn't have time to look into it too deeply, but thank you, Volturus. Thank you for being here. Much love. Have a good day. So have you guys, so this is the, wow. I don't know. Do you think I should watch the video? Do you think we should watch the video, or should we just go through the article?
I would say just go through the article, just read the article.
All right. So, in the above video, Reed alleged Youngkin had called him that day asking him to resign from the lieutenant governor's race. Reed is currently the Republican nominee for the position. For lieutenant governor. Okay. A total fabrication internet lie. So basic a middle schooler could have constructed, Reed said, speaking about the social media account. It's predictable, but what I didn't expect was the governor. I have always supported to call and demand my resignation without even showing me the supposed evidence or offering me a chance to respond. I did not accept that. I deeply resent it. So that's how he feels about it. Now, what is the evidence? What's the thing?
The supposed evidence is a long deleted Tumblr account that shows explicit pictures of other men.
Okay. I mean, this guy is this guy's out of the closet, right? This guy is openly gay.
Yes.
Is it say that he cheated on his spouse with these men?
Nope, just that there were explicit pictures. So, we don't want someone having explicit pictures providing such a terrible look for the Republican Party. In November of last year, there were three potential people to run for to take the spot for a Republican in the primary.
They wanted a gay guy, but they don't want him to be actually gay.
Yes.
Okay. So it turned out that the gay guy, was just too gay for the Republicans to actually handle.
That's what it seems like.
Yep.
But because he's fierce, he's not going to back down.
Right. He's sent Youngkin a cease and desist letter for defamation.
I mean, guys, if you're gonna have a moral high ground like that, just...
So, yeah. Last year, there were two other people running for the Republican primary. One of them did not meet the signature requirement to be put on the ballot, so he had to drop out. The other one dropped out like a week or like the 22nd of last month for health reasons.
I was going to say something very impolite, but I decided not to there.
The other guy legitimately had health reasons, and some were arguing, well, you've got time between now and November of this year. You'll get better by then. And he's like, no, I don't feel like stressing my system trying to run a campaign while I'm healing from surgery. Thank you.
Right.
So he dropped out, and the Republican primary was canceled because they had one candidate left.
And that's Reed. And they're stuck with him now. They're stuck with the gay guy that's too gay.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds kind of like after the second candidate announced that he was dropping out, might have been right around the time this issue was raised, in the hopes that if he dropped out, they could convince the other guy to come back instead. Because look, we have no one else.
Well, okay, so do we know if it has had any effect? Now, this other Earl Sears, who's trying to unite the party to get them all moving in one direction, right?
Well, he's the current lieutenant governor. He is aiming for the governor's job. He was apparently also advocating for him to not stay in the race.
So he's taking the standard GOP position.
Yeah.
And this is weakening their party or something, they think. You know what? Huh. I guess because they think that if they have a gay lieutenant governor, Republicans aren't going to vote for him. They'll stay home and just not vote. And we'll end up with a Democratic governor and lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
We'll end up with Spamberger and somebody.
One thing that was pointed out in a different article, I was just kind of looking at, okay, we have this one person that we know we've got now.
So I have
one thing that was pointed out is because it has turned into that. So June, you still have the Democratic primaries happening.
Right.
We have one independent person, we have one Republican person, but we have 6 different people running for the Democratic seat.
Right.
So one thing that was pointing out is that now the independents and the Democrats know who they're running against. For sure.
Right.
So they've got time to work on they've got time to do extra homework and come up with arguments that they may not have been able to come up with prior to June because
because no one will no one's gonna know who the Democratic nominee is until the whole thing's gone through. So they're not going to be able to, they'll have to stack up arguments against all of the presumptive nominees.
One of the other places that they're worried is, like you said, turnout, but it's turnout for not turnout because they can't vote, they don't want to vote for him. It's the fact that they are associating the lack of a lieutenant governor primary with there being no primaries at all for Republicans. So they're worried that those that might normally vote may see that and go, oh, I don't have to go for my county because, we're not doing this, and their county actually does have a race for something else.
Right. They're worried that this will wreck voter turnout for them.
Just not even just general turnout, but, it'll mess up other things that...
Right.
But, that is...
Well,
Given the climate we have got and the number of people that have been looking at last November and going, well, that didn't go as expected. I think that they could relatively be looking at this and going, yeah, we're not going to have a good year anyway.
yeah. I know that the midterms are top of everyone's minds right now. Pardon me. I'm also aware that most states have another year or so before elections. Whereas we have elections this year and next year.
We have elections every year.
Yes.
Because of the way things are structured, we have an election every year for something somewhere.
Right. Which includes
Versus other places
primaries
that only go every other year.
year.
Yeah.
Which means we have primaries every year as well here.
Depending on what it is, yes. There's primary. There's the main thing.
And open voting in primaries is now, or early voting in primaries is now open.
Yep.
That is something to be aware of. Primaries are where one of the places we have where we can make our voices most heard. Because that's where we get to choose who's taking that next step up. And I encourage us all to take part in the primarying process. Good old what's his name? I want to say David Hogg, but I don't know if that's correct. Has been putting together an effort to primary out a lot of the Democrats who have not the safer Democrat seats of people who have not done anything, who have not who haven't stood up for. I think his thing is specifically
fast and reliable solutions from Comcast Business can help turn your
No. F your commercial. You go away. Sorry. I wish I could remember the kid's name now. But he's leading a charge to primary out Democrats who aren't doing enough. Especially in safe seats. You know, he's trying to get new faces into government and get things done, and I think that that's a good idea. I support what he's doing. And I think that we should be getting out and voting in our primaries and having that influence on what is going on, what's going to be going on in our election systems. You know, I'm not sure who my options are in the area I'm in. And so I'm going to look that up, and I should probably look into who they are, what's going on. how long do we have before the primary?
June 17th.
June 17th. And today is May 3rd.
You got just about a month and a half.
All right. So, here is what I propose for the next month and a half. Here is the silly bus I say we get on.
Mm-hmm.
Next week and the week after, we do the video that we put off this week. And then the 2 weeks after that, we look at our primary options.
All right.
That is my proposal for the silly boss. Up to a vote?
Abstain.
Where's my election calendar?
At least make funny noises while you look for stuff, so that the audience knows you're looking for stuff. Do 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 do. This is my looking for stuff song. Do 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 do. Do my looking for stuff song. Do 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 do.
That sounds good to me.
You're saying you vote. You're saying the doing stuff song sounds good, or you're saying the silly bus sounds good.
What you suggested, your order of operations sounded good.
Okay. Yes. So we'll do the monetization of everything next week and the week after, and then we will do local politics 2 weeks after that, for the 2 weeks after that.
Right.
So to take us out on a high note, shall we talk about the threats on the roads this week? I mean, it's not safe to drive, folks. I'm telling ya. There are dimes on the road in Texas. There's an interstate kangaroo in Alabama. Really? It was an interstate kangaroo in Alabama.
What makes it an interstate kangaroo?
A kangaroo on the interstate. And I can only imagine it's trying to fight cars, because that's what a kangaroo would be doing on the interstate. To which Texas does. Huh? What did you say?
Kangaroo on the interstate. It escaped the court.
Kangaroo court.
It got bounced out.
Yes.
But of course, to all of this, Chris into 386, you know I love you. But dang, Florida man. Dang. Why you gots to be barefoot wrestling gators on the interstate? I mean, just because Alabama had an interstate kangaroo, y'all got to kick your shoes off and go wrestle them gators on the interstates.
Well, there's a good reason why they're doing it barefoot. Don't want to ruin your shoes while wrestling that gator.
Because he were wearing Crocs.
Mm.
That's not what I said when I meant. That's not what I meant when I said I wanted a pair of Crocs. It is dangerous on the roads out there, though. I was hoping for more jokes from you guys than that.
Buddy.
Sorry about that.
Well.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us. I think this is about where we're going to sign off. This train seems to have run out of steam. We have done our rants and raves. We have yelled at the screen and shook our fists and slammed them on the desks. I was hoping we'd get a few more laughs out of it, but we'll see. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Peanut Gallery. Thank you, Volturus. Thank you, Master Rasta 420. Thank you, Lockpick. Thank you, Just Me Crystal.
To Star Wars guy.
Thank you to Star Wars Guy. And that's everybody, I believe. Yeah. Thank you, all the lurkers. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Stick around for the raid. Now is the time on the show when I say, as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA, double deuces. We're out, y'all.
Loyalty, and I just looked at him, and I didn't blink, and I didn't move. There was a little voice inside my head ordering me, don't you move, don't you say anything, don't you give any signal, because I was stunned by what he was asking and didn't want to give him any indication of assent. Because we have to investigate executive branch officials, we often have to investigate a White House. And so the distance is at the core of the FBI's credibility. And here's the president asking me for personal loyalty. And so I just stared at him, and he stared at me. It seemed like forever. It was probably 2 seconds. And then he looked back down at his food, and the conversation moved on. But he surely noticed that I hadn't answered or even moved because he came back to it near the end of the conversation.
And he asked for your loyalty again. And how did it end?
He came back to loyalty again and said, I need loyalty. And I paused and I said, I will always be honest with you. And he said, after a pause, that's what I want, honest loyalty. And I paused, desperately looking for a way to get out of this incredibly awkward conversation. I said, you'll get that from me. Knowing what I meant and believing that given the conversation that had happened since we started the meal, he understood what I meant by that. And then we were out of that particular part of the conversation.
That's one example of the times that you compare the president's behavior to the mafia. And you're familiar with the mafia because you prosecuted them when you worked in the New York office. So usually with the mafia, there's transactional relationships. You know, I'm going to give you this. I expect something in return. I expect your loyalty. But beneath all of that is a threat. Like if you don't give me your loyalty, or if in spite of all my compliments to you, you betray me in some way, something's going to happen. Did you sense that beneath this conversation there was any kind of threat?
Well, certainly not the kind of threat that La Cosa Nostra, the mafia, would make explicit or implicit. And I don't mean by comparing Donald Trump's leadership culture to that of a mafia boss to suggest he's out there breaking legs or bombing shops when people don't make their payments. And I didn't get a sense of any kind of dark threat like that.